Welcome to the Protagonist Pub. My name is Tammy, and this is where characters gather. Today, we are here to discuss An Alchemy of Masques and Mirrors by Curtis Craddock. As you know, this won my recent 2x2x2 challenge of sci-fi versus fantasy. I will link that video down below. And this was the book that won that 4-book face-off. And I am very glad it did. This book was fantastic. It is fantasy. It is the first book in the Risen Kingdom trilogy. And it was a joy to read. So, if you read fantasy on a regular basis, you know that fantasy has been tending, much like science fiction, into much more of the grimdark spectrum than not. And I am pleased to say this book is not on the grimdark spectrum. Yes, there are some grimdark parts of this book, but they are in no way, shape, or form the bulk of this book. And they do drive the plot line, but not in the way you would expect in a grimdark fantasy. So our main character is Isabel de Zephyrs, and the other main character is the King's Own Musketeer, Jean-Claude. And the book opens with Jean-Claude on an airship rushing to the kingdom of de Zephyrs to bring a portrait of the emperor to the rulers of the de Zephyrs kingdom as they birth their child, so that the emperor is there. It's an order of law, and the emperor witnessed the birth. He gets there just in the nick of time, and immediately the midwife is trying to kill the baby. Jean-Claude rescues the baby. It's Isabel. She has a physical deformity. It is considered abhorrent that she is not perfect, and he refuses to allow her to be smothered and immediately names her Isabel and, proclaims that she is the heir of her parents for the emperor. And since he speaks with the emperor's voice, her parents have no choice. Her parents have long struggled with infertility. This is the first live birth they've had, and they are less than pleased. Thus opens the book. So this is a world in which the separate kingdoms are, in essence, giant floating rocks, and travel is by airship between kingdoms, so there's a steampunk aspect to it. And Isabel's parents are something called Blood Hollow. So the rulers of these individual kingdoms are all descendants from saints, and each individual kingdom's ruling family has a different magical ability. Isabel's parents have the ability to use their shadows to make themselves more powerful, and they drain the life out of their victims, who then become thralls and, do what they want. They can possess a thrall's body to spy. And so Jean-Claude stays on the Zephyrs at the behest of the Emperor to protect Isabel. And the story progresses from there. You begin to, the world building is fantastic. Something happens in the next several chapters, and you see that Isabel A has no magic. B, she understands the evil that is her parents. And you see Jean-Claude's absolute love and devotion to Isabel. And it just the opening several chapters are just impressive. They are probably among the grimmest, but it isn't the overall tone of the novel. And so Isabel is now about 24, and suddenly she is given the opportunity to marry a prince of a neighboring kingdom. This is unheard of because their bloodlines have very different magics, assuming she had any magic, and there is no intermingling of bloodlines in this world. They want to keep their saint bloodline pure. And Isabel jumps at the chance to escape the evil that is her father. And so she agrees to it. She has some terms. They're met. She agrees to it. And thus sets up the vast majority of the novel, probably a good 90% of the novel is what happens after Isabel agrees to the marriage. And I don't want to say any more because I will give too much away. So, what made this novel so amazing? That's simple. There is hope in this novel. There is always striving to be better than those around you. This was a novel filled with unexpected choices and the opposite of choosing to do the dark thing, but rather do the light thing, no matter how much more difficult it may seem. And I truly appreciated it. It was a breath of fresh air in fantasy. And I do not understand why these books are not getting talked about more frequently. And maybe they were when they were recently released. This one was published in 2017. And this book is a novel about hope and a novel about finding alternate paths to accomplish your goals against overwhelming odds of failure. I loved it. I cannot wait to pick up the second book, which is Labyrinth of Science and Sorcery. And I have the third book. It's still behind me in the bookcase. I don't want to tempt myself. Book 2 is going on my October pile of possibilities. This series is phenomenal. It is truly phenomenal, and it is hopeful, and Isabel is a female lead, and she is clearly the protagonist throughout the entire book. Isabel drives the story forward. Yes, Jean-Claude is a protagonist, but he is not the lead protagonist by any stretch. It is Isabel. It is Isabel that's making the decisions. It is Isabel that is driving the story. It is Isabel that says, no, I am in control of my future and I will speak for myself, even when life has taught me that doing so is painful. And it's a joy to read. So if you are looking for a hopeful, life-affirming fantasy choice that isn't the typical fantasy read, it isn't a typical magic system, it isn't a medieval setting, it isn't dwarves and elves and various races, then seriously, do yourself a favor. Go pick up book 1 of The Risen Kingdom, An Alchemy of Masques and Murders by Curtis Craddock. The trilogy is complete. It is a fantastic and unique read in fantasy these days. It is hopeful. It is uplifting. And I promise you will not be sorry. Have you read it? Leave a comment down below, like and subscribe, and I will see you here next time at the Protagonist Pub.